In life, most people don't finish things. It's just a sad reality. I have a novel I'll probably never write. You have a manuscript you'll never send. Millions of people have backlogs they'll never go through. It's easy to look at all that and say, what's even the point? I'm starting this new anime series just for five more to pop up like the Hydra of Legend. That legend, of course, being from Kingdom Hearts 2. But at the same time, it feels good to close the book on something. You have friends you never say goodbye to and you regret. Locations you never get to visit at the end of your life. Dreams you never got to chase. And wow, we are going way too deep now, so let's back up. Video games, am I right? This year, I set out to beat my friend Seb in a competition. Now, if you don't know, Seb and I do a podcast cast called The Gaming Lounge, where every week, some exceptions may apply, check your local listings, we yap about the latest in video game news, releases, and speculate about the future of gaming too, because why not? Now, Seb and I have been friends since, I want to say, late 2019. I always get the dates wrong, but we've been at least friends for over 5 years now. And because time is not real, it feels like it's been much longer, but also, oh my God, how has it been that long that I've known Seb? Anyway, existential crises aside, we did this competition this year. And I managed to beat, let me check my notes here, 52 games last year. This year, as I was writing the script, the day after Christmas, I doubled it at 104 games. Now, how the hell did I do that? Did my job suddenly change? Nope. Did I become rich and famous and not need to work? God, no. Did I quit going to college for the second time in my life? No. Also, how did you know that? Get out of my apartment. Anyways, in this video, I'm going to discuss a few things. Number one, how many games I beat and denote some favorites and why. How I beat so many games in the first place, and how you might too. So for the record, and just to keep the criteria pretty clear here, me beating a game means rolling credits. That's it. If you see credits after a certain amount of playtime, so no, going to the main menu and hitting the credits button wouldn't count, then to me you've completed the game. I don't care about how many hours you've logged, a secret or true ending, quote unquote, whether you've achieved 100%, whatever. As long as you get to see the people who made the game, then you've probably beaten the game in any reasonable sense of the word, at least to me. So that's what I did throughout 2025. But unfortunately, my friend Seb is kind of good at this whole gaming thing. So at the beginning of 2025, he was beating me badly. So I decided to make a choice. I chose quantity over quality. Now, don't get me wrong, I didn't play some shovelware slop. I didn't go on itch.io and play a game that takes a minute to beat, although I did almost do that by the end of it. And I did my best to only pick games that were reviewed well and generally seemed to be up my alley. I still ended up not liking or being wowed by a whole bunch of games, but that's what happens when you sacrifice one over the other in the spirit of competition, right? I'm not surprised and I don't really regret it. Sometimes you have to make sacrifices so you can trounce your friend in an otherwise amicable competition. Did it work? Well, as of writing this, the day after Christmas, and now I'm recording it on New Year's Day. Happy New Year's, by the way, for everyone. I have beaten 103 games, and he's beaten around 100. So, yeah, it kind of worked. Down the line, it didn't work as much because I let him catch up, but we'll talk about that later. This is where I pull out a quote from everyone's favorite purple supervillain and ask, at what cost did I do this? At what cost? Not much of one, actually. Yeah, I played some games I wouldn't otherwise have because they were short, as we'll soon see. But there's almost no games on this list that I flat out regret playing, besides maybe Lost Soul aside, which was probably my biggest disappointment in 2025, unfortunately. There's plenty of games I give less than 4 stars out of 5, but if anything didn't click with me, I usually stop playing after a certain amount of time. And most of those games that I give less than 4 stars are like 3 stars, so still not bad, just okay. By the by, it is okay to stop playing and interacting with something that is not doing it for you. It doesn't matter how many people say it's awesome, how many great reviews it's got, how many critics say it's awesome. If it's not vibing with you, just don't do it. Like, yeah, closure is nice, as we talked about at the beginning of this video, but it's also unreasonable to think you'll always get closure. And sometimes closure sucks anyways. It's disappointing and bitter, and it leaves a bad taste in your mouth. Sometimes leaving things where they are is for the best, even if that sucks too, but maybe it sucks just a little bit less. Now, here's my system for specifically leaving things on the table in terms of video games. It was pretty simple. If I played even about a quarter of a game and it's still not grabbing me, then I'm probably going to stop playing unless I think something huge is about to happen or I know something huge is about to happen. So, for example, if a game is 10 hours, then if after the 2.5 hour mark, roughly, it's still not interesting to me, I'm almost certainly dropping it. Realistically, I'll likely do it before that point because ain't nobody got time for that. But that's kind of my limit. So enough chit chat. Let's talk about, those were some of my ground rules, but let's highlight first the weirdest games I played in 2025 in no particular order. So the first game I played that I want to highlight is mouthwashing. I do not like this game. I think this is a great game. But if you know anything about this game, I hate this game so much. It's very uncomfy. But if you like horror, if you like games that tackle very serious subjects, you're gonna like this one. Low polygon res, first person adventure game, I guess you could call it. Very weird, very good. The next game was a lot happier that I want to highlight. It's called Thank Goodness You're Here. It's basically What If Monty Python, but a bit chibier. Very cute. Very funny in places. Not a lot of narrative depth, unlike mouthwashing, but I had a lot of fun and I got a lot of smiles out of this one. The third game I want to highlight is Decarnation. This is a pretty good game with weird body horror and a banger soundtrack. A lot of mommy issues though, so if you've got mommy issues, maybe this isn't the story for you. But I gave it a 3.5 out of 5. And I gave Thank Goodness You're Here and Mouthwashing a 4 out of 5 for the record. The Midnight Walk. What if Tim Burton decided to do claymation? Again? Has he done claymation? I don't think he has. Anyway, the gameplay was kind of mad. That was my biggest criticism of The Midnight Walk. But it was very weird. You're supposed to light up all these lanterns and there's stealth sections. And obviously the claymation gave it a very weird feel. I gave it a 3.5 out of 5. Good game. Probably the weirdest game I played this year, and that's saying something, is called Paradigm. This is the weirdest point-and-click game I've ever played. Incredible writing. Most puzzles made sense, but I needed a walkthrough big time for this one. But this was well worth it. Go check it out. It's called Paradigm. Number 6, This Is Not Your House. It's very weird. Shout out to Super Eye Patch Wolf. Very weird philosophizing horror quickie. It took me about maybe 30 minutes. By the way, Whose House? I gave this a 3 out of 5. Next is another horror game. I played a lot of horror games this year. This one's called Luto. Come for the horror, but save for the writing. Those few sections where there is writing, explicit writing, and voice acting, mwah, chef's kiss. But unfortunately, the gameplay could be very confusing. I, again, needed to consult a walkthrough. 4 out of 5. Shotgun Cop Man. You go to hell and arrest Satan. It's pretty simple. Addictive and engaging, but also accessible combat. This is probably my highest rating of my entire list, and it made it to my top 10 of the year. A 4.5 out of 5 for me. Don't get your hopes up. This is a kind of a weird game. I've never experienced a game like this, but it's all about the housing market, and it's a visual novel where you make various choices about what kind of apartment you're eventually going to settle for in Amsterdam. Turns out the rest of the world is just as besieged by capitalism as the rest of us. And it's a game about capitalism. Spoilers, it's bad. And if you want to rent somewhere, good luck. 4 out of 5. Man, I Just Want to Go Home is the last game I want to highlight. A visual novel with a lot of snark, great writing, very flashy art. So maybe if you suffer from epilepsy or issues with flashing images, just be careful. A lot of different endings, but still beatable in under an hour. I gave it a 4 out of 5. Now, there are lots of other weird games I played, especially once I got into the under an hour territory. I played some very strange games. But I want to end it there because I don't want to go too long. I want to next talk about some of my favorite games. Now, to be clear, this is not my top 10 of the year. If you want to go check that out, go look at and I'll link it in the doobly-doo. But go check that out. Seb and I talk about our top 10 favorites of the year. So you won't see any Claire Obscure or Blueprints or... I didn't even play Blueprints, so that's a bad example. But you get my meaning. This is just a bunch of games from different years that I really loved. So the first game I want to highlight is I Am Your Beast. High-octane action, kind of mixes Splinter Cell with Doom Eternal. The soundtrack is such a bop. It's so good. 4.5 out of 5. Another shooter, incredibly stylized and has another awesome soundtrack, is Mullet Mad Jack. Another 4.5 out of 5 for me. Loved both these games. Mullet Mad Jack has kind of a very 90s anime-esque Japanese tone to it. I loved it. Citizen Sleeper 2. Shout out to Iffy. Lovely comic book stylings in a TTRPG framework. A man game by the end, to quote Daryl Talks Games. 4.5 out of 5 for me. Avowed. Yeah, I loved Avowed. I'm going to try not to talk about this too much because I'll get on my fucking pedestal and stuff. I don't understand people who don't like this game. Now, I didn't grow up with Elder Scrolls. I didn't grow up with playing Oblivion or anything like that. So I don't have a lot of experience with this specific RPG genre of first person action and whatnot. But I had a really good time with the combat, and I just adored it. I absolutely adored the combat, the guns, the stealth gameplay. I liked the companions. I'm not saying they were amazing, and the story wasn't amazing either, but I liked the choices you gave. They felt like they were important, and overall, I thought the world was very pretty, and I had very few tech issues, which is a biggie for me in 2025. Resident Evil 4 Remake. I speedran the shit out of this last year. I spent about 50 plus hours in 2025 alone, and I got my time on, I don't know, the easy mode equivalent, down to nearly 2 hours. This year, 2026, I'm going to be trying to get it down to 2 hours or less. Maybe under 2 hours would be great. 5 out of 5. I mean, it's the GOAT. What do you want from me? Speaking of animals, Cat Detective Albert Wild. Love me a good detective game. Also love anthropomorphic detective games like Chicken Police. So big fan of cats and puns as well. This is a very funny game. Really great. 4.25 out of 5. Dark Pictures House of Ashes. So last year, I went through most of the franchise. And so I played pretty much every game except Devil and Me. And that has like mixed on Steam. Excuse me. That has a mixed rating on Steam. So I'm not sure when I'll check that out. But I've played every single game otherwise. And most of them are like 7 out of 10s. But this is the standout. I see why House of Ashes is frequently cited as the best or one of the best Dark Pictures anthology game. 4.25 out of 5. Very fun. Very bloody. The monsters are real. Digimon Time Stranger. My 7 out of 10 king. I had so much fun playing this game. I spent over 40 hours on it. It's mostly on my Steam Deck. This year I got a Steam Deck. And I haven't talked about it a ton. But it's been really great to have this as part of my as part of my whole gaming deal, right? So that's been really fun. Number 9 is Outer Worlds 2. Love the first, love this one too, maybe slightly more. Capitalism is again the problem. Weird, right? 4.5 out of 5. Great game, improved the combat, loved it. Number 10, Until Then, which rhymes, must be true. One of the best narrative games I've ever played. And the award for games that made me cry the most goes to this one, of course. This one's basically perfect. Basically a 5 out of 5. All right, enough games. So how can you do this? Well, I can only really speak from personal experience, but here's how I did it. And for the record, how you should do it may look a lot different, but I think my system was overall pretty robust and flexible. Don't give yourself any hard limits in a given month or year. See what you can do. Make sure you plan around big events. Some people might have kids. I don't, but I do have a dog, so that impacts me. Try to plan around that stuff. Number 2. Try lots of games, but typically within genres you already love, right? It's not going to do you a lot of good if you play a 100-hour game that you don't really enjoy and you never really thought you were going to enjoy. Number 3. As a corollary, that makes DNFing or do not finishing a lot less common. Out of the 100 plus games I played, I likely didn't finish, I don't know, less than a quarter, which is pretty impressive to me. Number 4, make it a friendly competition with friends or people you're in a Discord server with. I specify Discord, but of course you can use anything you want. Number 5, make sure to pay attention to reviews, not just to get other people's point of view, but make sure there aren't bugs. I know not everyone's into reviews like I am, but for me, personally, I find it really helps. It makes me know about the game ahead of time. Obviously, sometimes you can get spoilers and stuff like that, but generally speaking, it helps me sort my thoughts a little better. And so it makes me more able to beat these games in a timely fashion. Number 6, organize your backlog by HLTB, how long to beat, and prioritize shorter, under 10-hour games. Now, I did go over 10 hours every now and then, especially if it was a newer game and I really wanted to play it and talk about it on the gaming lounge. But generally, I stayed under 10 hours. I'm pretty happy with overall what I got, and we'll talk about that. The total of games I got later. Ask your friends for recommendations. What are they playing? What have they played? What games are good for a weekend? What games are great for just an evening? Number 8, pay attention to what other folks are playing and consider if it might appeal to you. So, for example, if there are some new games coming out and you think you'll like them, maybe give them a shot. See if it mixes up your playing style a little bit and if it kind of gives you more energy for playing games. Have other hobbies besides gaming. So, for example, I watch anime, I exercise, I write, I dungeon master, whatever. And number 10, probably most important of all, make sure you're having fun. So one thing I'm going to do in 2026 is I'm going to do the 12 for 12 list. So that's 12 months to play 12 games recommended by 12 different friends. So In January, I'm going to play Last Day of June. February, I'm going to play Frank in Drake. Uh, March, I'm going to play Peggle. April, I'm going to play Broforce. May, I'm going to play Valiant Hearts, The Great War. June, I'm finally going to play Cyberpunk. July, I'm going to play Tactical Breach Wizards. August, I'm going to play Chrono Trigger for the first time. September, I am going to play Octopath Traveler 2. October, Persona 5. November, Chicory, A Colorful Tale. And December, Venba. So, almost lost track of the months there, if you can't tell. So, yeah, that's my plan for 2026. And those aren't the only games I'm going to play, but those are games I'm going to prioritize. Now, if I had to name the biggest reasons why I was able to finish so many games, it would probably be these three. Number 1, friendly competition. Number 2, using How Long to Beat religiously. It was basically my Bible for 2025. And number 3, paying attention to reviews, making sure games aren't broken, that they run well, that they're seen well by the community. If you do just those 3 things, you're well on your way. But having other hobbies is critical too, so you can take a break from gaming and go, touch grass, as the kids say. So what about next year? We've talked a lot about, what about this year? I wrote this back when it's 2025. So what about this year? Well, first, 2 questions. Do I regret playing so many damn games? Am I a loser who has no life? Now, one of those answers are obvious, but for the other, no regrets. I played a lot of amazing games this year, and at worst, I played some games that were just fine and not much more. Hardly the worst outcome. Regardless, choosing quantity over quality meant I didn't play some longer games that I've been meaning to play. I also ended up rushing some games, feeling like I didn't get much out of them and really get to soak them in because of the competition. If I had some last advice, I would say make sure you and your friendly competitor come up with some ground rules before you do this and stick to it. That way, no one can cry foul 10 months in, or at the very least, it will reduce the amount of crying foul that is likely to happen. And if you're wondering about that competition between Seb and I, we ended up tying at 114 games. Now, this might sound super unsatisfying, especially as a narrative device. And yeah, partially at first I was unsatisfied. But the more I sat with it, the more I realized that the journey was way more interesting and important than the destination. I'm glad I experienced so many games, but I also told them we're probably never going to do this again. Now, without a lot of ground rules at least, and even then I don't think I want to. It's too stressful, and that ground rules thing is part of what led to problems for us both towards the end. As much as we both tried for it to be friendly and just for fun, a lack of guidelines, like I said, let us both do things that the other disliked, which in turn fueled a competitive edge and drive, and made both of us do things that we weren't doing in the middle or beginning. For example, I played some games that were under an hour just so I could catch up. I don't regret doing that, but maybe the real games, were the friends we made along the way. And in the end, that's more important than hitting credits more times than whomever you're competing with. Just some quality food for thought. Now, with that in mind, I am making 2026 more about quality than quantity. I'm going after games, regardless of required playtime, that have really good scores and reviews and that I think I would enjoy. Games like Half-Life 2. Yes, I never played Half-Life 2 as a kid. Sue me. Deltarune. The Persona games. Pillars of Eternity. Divinity Original Sin. Fuck AI, by the way, Larian. Octopath Traveler 2. Dragon Quest 11. And more. Obviously, I talked about Cyberpunk earlier as well. So next year, if I end up doing a video like this, or very late this year, don't expect me to have over 100, because I want to do the extreme opposite and dedicate my year to peak. I don't know why I did that. Will I like it more? Less? Only time will tell. Thanks for watching.